Well, it turns out my first cultured game review is my most popular review to date. Well, that sucks. It's not even my best work. In fact, it was when I just started out. Man, things have gotten better for my video quality since then. Why are you guys so obsessed with big balloons and anime? What kind of audience am I building here? Whatever.
You did not have to do that. You knew you did not have to do that. How could you have done that? Can you live with yourself? What you've gone and done. Look what you've gone and done here. For God's sake, you're a bunch of fucking degenerates.
Time for yet another cultured game review. It's been a few months since the last one, all the way back in January after all. So let's cover a PC game that I happen to enjoy greatly. And even if it had no adult content in the game, I'd still enjoy it. It's just a good game. That being Saraman Union by Pasture Soft, available on dlsite, an adult site for all kinds of cultured fellows of all kinds of cultured content. So let's jump into the game already and talk about why you should play Saraman Union.
How? How is such a thing possible?
So you're a descendant of nobility. Your uncle has passed, and your father's side of the family was a mystery that no one believed when he said of being of nobility. Well, it turns out it's true, and you're a descendant of the fire dragon demon. You're only a small percentage demon and mostly human though. This irks the land of Nova Roma Empire, as it's a land of demons, usually ruled by demons. So most are not fond of you, and there's a rebellion at the start you must quell.
Man. Wow. That's crazy, isn't it? Oh my god, true? Yeah. True and fucking real.
Along the way, you will meet and interact with various people who are ally, neutral, and foe. From your military commanders and big boob maids that will service you in many of ways, to the faction leaders, vampires, snow people, pirates, elves, fire demons, tribals, crazy church humans that are literally just Christians, succubus, centaurs, and more. It's up to you to decide how to interact with the factions and choices leading to rewards and consequences.
Oh, my favorite!
So it's best to learn how diplomacy and politics work as soon as possible. This way you're less likely to get a bad ending. Every faction can be interacted with at some point during the game, some earlier than others, but that depends on various factors that you can contribute to. There's only one faction that's never going to like you and wants you dead, and that's the Dracula Nation. And no, I'm not going to put a Castlevania Symphony of the Night reference in here. That's so overused.
You know it, I know it, everybody knows it.
Instead, look at each faction as they vary in military power and wealth, meaning it's best to not engage in war, at least immediately, with the more powerful nations. And it's a good idea to propose trade with the wealthy factions to earn more money over time. Plus, with a trade agreement, you slowly build relations with said faction. This way you don't have to bribe them to make them like you, and propose other options in turn once they become available, like alliances and marriage.
A bitch, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna fuck a bear.
Some factions are more tricky than others. The tribals will eventually demand large sums of money every few turns, or they will attack. The crazy church people will want everyone else dead but them, including you. They will also declare war on neighboring factions, with you having to decide how to approach which side, if any, to take. Then there's the Dracula faction that will eventually declare war on you. So it's best to prepare defenses on the border shared with them and get some units trained as well. He usually waits till all other factions have been allied with or conquered, or it's close to the election year, as you're on a timer. You must get as many votes as possible out of the 11 available for the chance to win the vote to become emperor of the land. In the end, it's up to you to decide what kind of fate lies in store for the land of Nova Roma Empire.
I get it.
I don't get it.
Part of being in charge of your own faction is to tend to domestic affairs. People will come to you with requests that vary in morals and other benefits and cons, like building a brothel, which will hinder public order, but give you a small amount of money up front, but that's all you get. You can offer money to help increase security for your territories, help the tree people and earn mercy points to give yourself more of a kind reputation, or to not care and earn evil points and watch your reputation turn tyrannical. It's up to you to decide what you want to be and the ending you get because of it.
I'm talking about fucking buttholes, alright?
To build an empire, you need to worry about your controlled territories and what they host. Different structures equal different stat effects towards your population, public order, garrison, defenses, income, and more. The market is to generate gold each week. The farm increases the amount of food, which is the population capacity for your army. The more farms, the more units you can hire at once, on top of upgrading buildings, which in turn increases their overall amount that they give you. Training grounds give you a random unit a set amount of experience every week. The hospital is needed to increase healing speed of wounded units, as it takes gold and action points to heal them otherwise, or wait over time they'll heal slowly. Each week you have 4 actions you can take. This includes building, upgrading, healing, visiting the dungeon, visiting your wife or maids or concubines, and more. The other buildings, like the workshop, increase the repair time for your town center and walls. Then the temple gives you prestige, which is needed to recruit units and research new technology to make units more effective in combat. On top of that, you need soldiers to fight for you. At first, you have some of the worst units in the game. You need to train them to make them more useful in either warfare or through gold and training. One costs more but is less risky, as if a unit is defeated in battle, it's gone forever unless it's a unique unit. A good thing to do is to research with prestige earned every week. The more temples, the more prestige on top of their upgrade levels. With it and a lot of gold, you could give units better armor and weapons, as well as a more universal ability that's used by multiple units of various factions. Oh, and of course to also unlock new units like archers, spearmen, and cavalry. You can also unlock a more advanced version of the 4 unit types too down the line. Every faction you ally with, let alone marry into, will grant you access to unique units for said faction. So your wife can fight in wars for you, and each of the many potential spouses have different abilities. Of course, the con to these other units are their recruitment fees being high in gold, food, and prestige. But the payoff is they're usually stronger than your default units, so getting allies early as possible will aid you in wars. Speaking of war, once war is called, whether you did it or another faction did, it's time to get troops ready to fight. The combat of Saraman Union is very simple. You bring up to 6 units into battle. It's a side-scrolling view. You start on the left, the enemy is on the right. Your goal is to defend and wipe out the enemy if it's a defensive battle. If it's an attack battle, you must defeat all units and destroy their town center building at the end of the screen. Each unit type is effective against certain troops. The cavalry is great against archers, but not so much against pikemen. Swordsmen are good against pikemen, but not so much against archers. Who you choose to bring into battle is up to you. Every time you summon a unit, a timer begins before you can summon another troop. You can tell each unit to either attack, stand ground, or retreat. Some units have 3 troops in them, while others only have 1. Some factions have better units than others when it comes to cavalry, swordsmen, archers, and pikemen. Plus, each faction tends to have a unique troop too. Like you have a succubus, the fire demons have a fire demon, pirates have a dual sword tank, there's fire mages, crossbowmen, and much more. Every time you win a battle, troops that survive earn experience points and can level up. This is important as some factions are stronger than others and you need to train a whole lot of your troops, even if you get the better equipment in the technology tree. I never noticed if elemental effects are in the game. I don't think they are, because if they were, you would just need the fire demon units to obliterate the Dracula faction. During battles, you will also encounter spike traps that will damage the attacking side. Then there's walls that slow down attackers. You have to sadly walk over the spike traps, and you cannot climb over the walls, they can only be destroyed. There's also an archer tower that will attack the invading side, but you cannot do anything about these besides move your troops forward and hope you're out of range.
Yo, check this out, look at this. Absolutely no way I'm getting through that, completely solid. But watch this.
Once you build up enough of a relationship with factions, you can usually choose a marriage proposal with any of them, so long as the option is not grayed out. Whoever you choose will usually move in with you and will be available for baking lessons. But also, several can be used in war as unique unit type that offers different abilities. I chose the fire demon leader this time because I like a bit of heat in both battle and in the sheets.
This shit is insane.
You can tell it's a fantasy game because only in a fantasy game would a wife actually be willing to go to bed with her husband.
Base.
Anyways, the last part of the game to cover is the choices and consequences. If you want to be an evil lord, then you can. You can also be a kind lord or a neutral lord. You can abuse your captives with torture, sacrifice, executions, or even let them go. You can choose who to marry, if anyone at all. You can choose to become the emperor, give it to another, or end the royal line and turn a land into a democracy. At the end of the day, Saraman Union is a borderline great game that offers plenty of fun to be had, tons of replay value, plenty of strategy and management. You will have tons to do, in more ways than one.
Bazinga!
It's well worth checking out, and is one of the developer's best games to date. The only things I would change is there should be more marriage options in H content. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Go to the church and ask God to forgive you.